Welcome to Bleav in Chargers here on the Bleav Network with the great Lorenzo Neal, all-decade, all-timer, beloved by the Charger faithful. They've been doing the legend rotation every single home game, and man, these 3 in a row at SoFi have been something special. A huge tip of the cap and shout out to the Powder Blues. I thought about it low and had quite a few people as I was doing the lap around the field before the game. I had a window where I could get down there.
Right.
A lot of people. I can't count them. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 or something like that just talked about Bleav in Chargers and Lowe and say hey to Lowe and where's Lowe? Why isn't he here? And I was like, hey, man, they already honored him. They already got him out there. He was already celebrated. And, and they had LaDainian and they had Eric Weddle. And it's just been a heck of a run. They had Dave Roberts out with the championship trophy from the Dodgers to knock out the siren. That was a lot of fun. But, man, I was thinking back to 2018 when they played the Ravens on a Saturday night. It was a blackout kind of Saturday night, and it was at the old soccer stadium. I think it was called Dignity Health at that time. And it must have been a 70-30 split in favor of the Ravens fans. And Sunday was 80-20, maybe 85-15 in favor of the Powder Blues. It was 90-10 against the Falcons. 90-10 against the Bengals. It was 95-5 against the Titans. And it's been packed, man. And, Harbaugh's been talking about it. Need the fans. Need fans get out there. Be loud, and it's been great. It's been really fun to watch. You get a superstar quarterback. Now you get a superstar head coach. What this thing is turning into.
Oh, no question. Just being able to watch it on TV and seeing the crowd and just watch how electric it was. And just the whole atmosphere. You watch the game and you still see energy. Despite of the outcome, the energy was in that stadium. That game was still still back and forth. Very, very competitive game in my opinion. But the atmosphere, it was set. And I'll tell you, it was, of course you wanted the Chargers to win. But as far as the atmosphere and the setting, like you said, the crowd was great.
Yeah, and you mentioned late in the game, they stayed, obviously, even when they were down 14. But, geez, the amount of boos when they picked up the flag on the PI against Josh Palmer, you could just feel it. It shook the whole stadium. So, again, tip of the cap to the people, to the fans, to the folks that support us here at Bleav in Chargers. We appreciate you. If you don't mind, you can rate, you can leave a comment on the YouTube page or on the podcast with a review. That'd be great. Pass it along to your friends. Let them know as this thing keeps growing and growing. And, look, they're 11 games in. They're 7-4. They got 6 to go, 4 on the road, 2 at home. We start these 2-2-2s, 2 on the road here, Falcons, Chiefs, then 2 at home, Buccaneers, Broncos, then 2 on the road to close, Patriots, Raiders. And you feel pretty good about what's left, what's in front of them. And I'll just say, Lo, as I pass it off to you to talk about what you saw on Monday night, kind of what I had said is, and it was crystallized because the Rams played the Eagles on Sunday night as well. And it's a really good team that's exceeding expectations. Fan base is energized where the Rams are, where the Chargers are, especially where the Chargers are with Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. And then you run into a team that you expect to see in the Final Four. That is one of the favorites to be in the Final Four. And the Eagles, and as we now focus on the Chargers, on the Ravens, and you just see it's a little different. It's like, okay, this is year one, man. This is year one. And if they get into the tournament, anything can happen. You saw what it looked like for 2.5, 3 quarters there. But then you saw what a championship team looks like as Baltimore sort of pulled away. And I thought they were the better team throughout. I think it was pretty evident on the field that team is incredibly talented and probably better than what their 7-4 record suggested they were.
Yeah, so did I. You saw 2 teams go at it. And yeah, I think that game was tilted with Baltimore's willingness to say, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose with the guy that arguably could be the MVP. We got to see back-to-back 2 nights. SoFi Stadium was unbelievable, even though Philadelphia took care of it. I thought the Chargers game was a lot more competitive.
Yes.
And you saw a team that you look at running back positions that they talk about running backs shouldn't be paid. What those 2 guys did, I think you should start talking about running backs should be paid. Not only running backs should be paid, but also maybe MVP conversation for what they bring to the table and what they change the faces of both these franchises even that much more. I thought Baltimore said, we're going to lose with Derrick Henry. The other night, you got to see where Lamar Jackson usually is Lamar time. They said, Lamar, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Derek, and that's Henry. And let's let this guy 4th and 1, 4th and inches, 4th and 2. They said, and we're going to lose. We're going to lose with this bell cow that we believe in. And that, to me, that tilted the balance because you had no answer. You had no answer without, Denzel Perham in the linebacker. When you missed him a lot, but you had no answer to stop the run in short yardage. And that led to what? 3 touchdowns, Money, I think, right?
They had 2 4th down conversions on the same drive that led to a touchdown. And then truly the boldest of moves when you're down 10-7 at the 2-minute warning at your own 16 and you go for it on 4th and inches. And to me, what that signals, I'll tell you what it signals. It signals that this Thanksgiving holiday, head to the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting, BetOnline. Earliest odds, in-game. Yes, in-game live bet, and you see something that's sticking out to you, get in there. BetOnline gives you a constant real-time odds and action, ability to watch the games as they happen, largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, boxing. They got it all. Get over to the website today. See why BetOnline is America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline. The game starts here. It's a sign of respect from John Harbaugh to Jim Harbaugh. I don't want to give this ball back to Justin Herbert on a 4th and inches. I'd just as soon see if we can get Patrick Ricard and Derrick Henry behind 260-pound Mark Andrews and just get these 6 inches as opposed to punting it away, giving them 2 minutes and the 3 timeouts that they have and trying to stop them. I'd rather that's a sign of respect for that offense and what Herbert did on that first drive, and then he backed it up with a field goal, and
still scored after that. After they went for it,
25 seconds. 25 seconds.
Yes, and that's why Harbaugh, like you said, that's respect for Justin to say that. And Money, before that, they're up 10-0, right? The Chargers.
Right.
It was I don't know if you remember this play. It was 3rd and like 3 or 4. Rager, 89.
89, yeah, Jalen.
Yeah, Jalen. The ball hits him in the hand. On the
chest. He body caught it. Gotta get your hands out here.
Money, if you make that catch. Yes. If you make that catch. Not that. Yes, and it bounced off. Yeah. If that catch is made, Money, I don't know we're having this conversation. I think the game's close because you would have extended the play. You had the momentum. The Ravens couldn't stop you.
Yeah.
And then you punted the ball. I thought that, I was like, gosh. And of course, having J.K. Dobbins go out was huge because you saw the way that he was running. 6-7 carries, 50-some yards. So I don't think that Baltimore was superior. I thought the Chargers, like you and I, we talk about all the time. McConkey, he's there. But you seen Jalen, you see Q again with the drop. So you saw some things there that the stage, we talked about it. Would the stage get too big for certain individuals? And for some it didn't, but for some it did.
Look, I think for Rager, the receivers let Justin down. He would never say it. Coach would never say it. But I'm hoping that in the wide receiver room, and I even feel bad saying it, they're working their tails off. They don't want to drop the balls, but hoping Coach Lau and Jalen Rager and Q, it's not Ladd. Guy had 6 targets, 6 catches. It's not Will Dissly. He's catching everything that's thrown at him. But those 2 guys, I would assume, they're on the jugs machine. They're putting in extra hours after practice because they let their guy down on Monday night. It's a battle of MVP candidates, and Justin Herbert deserved better than a 75 rating. Now, he did miss the one shot that would have gone for a touchdown instead of settling for the field goal with those 25 seconds left on the post from Josh Palmer. Just didn't have enough air under it. And that tends to happen when you got guys with giant arms, especially early in their career. They tend to just be like, oh, look, he's open, and I can throw this ball over them freaking mountains, so I'm just going to fire it down there. But he had 4 drops from Q. Those were not, contested catches, errant passes. Those were catches that should have been made. And, you mentioned the one from Rager. They're down 7, and they're driving, and it's a 3rd and 3, and you got Q on a shallow crosser, and Herbert hits him right in stride, and that thing's going to go for 20, 30, who knows? Because Q can go, man. Once he catches it, he's got gas. And it's dropped, and you punt it away, and they score, and now you're down 14. And it's, you're right. There were miscues that led. There were missing players. It's one thing to not have DP and Cam Hart at the start and miss that physicality at linebacker. There's no more physical. Well, and to have Khalil on a snap count. You're talking about your 3 defensive line Khalil, linebacker level Denzel Perriman, secondary level outside of Derwin. Cam Hart, he's a rookie, but he is a big dude, man. He's calling you right now. He's saying, you're damn right I'm a big guy. 6'2", 215 pounds at corner, and you saw what they opted to do. How many of those runs went right at Tarheeb Still, who's supposed to be inside playing slot. Instead, he's outside playing where Cam would be playing. And that's what they were doing, man. They're running right at, and way to go, Tarheeb. He made 8 tackles, 4 of them solos. But you put Cam Hart in there, and he's got an opportunity to thump. And Denzel is going to meet Derrick Henry in the hole, and you know how he hits. Right. And they certainly missed those guys.
Oh, you did. And that's the thing, because I watched both games and I watched them carefully. You saw where the Rams was just outclassed by Philadelphia. You saw it. They tried to come out and show some fire, but you saw Philadelphia just could impose their will, ran up over 200 and some yards. It wasn't close. Baltimore had to take chances. Baltimore, even though the game was 14 and we get that, and you saw that, it was a different game because guys dropped. The Rams had no answers. The Chargers necessarily didn't. You had answers, but the guys that could answer the question wasn't necessarily on the field. But then you had guys in and there drops that, like you said, wide open, that would have kept drives going, that would have been chain-moving drives, substantial big plays that you left on the field. So Baltimore, yes, they won the game, and yes, they're a little bit better team. But I saw enough there. The 2 games were 2 big games. The 2 teams are fighting for playoff hope. 2 teams that are playing against probably, I would say both the Philadelphia and the Ravens are probably the 2 best teams, top 3 teams in the NFC and AFC team.
Yeah.
The Chargers, the Rams are far. They're far from being there. But the Chargers, in my opinion, with those young guys, or not having the guys that you needed, the way you competed, yes, you lost by 14, but there's drive killers, and you made Baltimore have to do things that, I'm telling you, what do you think, Money? 31 other coaches or 29 other coaches in the league would have punted the ball?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
So. On your own 16?
Yes.
And way to go, John Harbaugh. You Bleav in your guys. That's what 17 years will do, and that's what, I'll say this, the teams are so similar. It's obvious that that's what Jim Harbaugh's trying to build, is what the Ravens are, and that model of consistency in 17 years and 11 times making the playoffs and 4 AFC championship games and a trip to the Super Bowl and to win. And Lamar Jackson's potentially going to be a 3-time MVP. He's already a 2-time MVP. And they build on the lines. When you look at Oweh and Travis Jones and, Ajabo, you build along the lines. You trade valuable draft equity for Roquan Smith. I know he didn't play in this game. You draft Kyle Hamilton, right? And then what do? You bloop, here comes Derrick Henry. Bloop, here's Zay Flowers. Here, and that's what that's the path they're on. I said this on Chargers Weekly with Chris, and I'll just say it again, not thinking that it's brilliant, but I really believe it. I said it's you're looking in the mirror when you see the Ravens and the reflection that's looking back at you. It's got filters. It's got Instagram filters on. It's just prettier. It's prettier because it's 5 years in. It's 6 years in. It's not year one like the Chargers are this year. And I say it because I don't want people to get too bummed out. Like, oh man, we won 4 in a row and this team can win the Super Bowl. They still can. But it's just a reminder that it's year one, man. It is year one. He inherited a 5-12 team, $40 million over the cap. All the players they signed, Bud Dupree got $9 million. That was their biggest free agent signing, a 1-year, $9 million deal. Will Dissly was the second biggest. It was 4.5 per. Like, that's what they populated the roster with because of the handcuffs that they were handed with having to cut Mike, having to trade Keenan, having to get Khalil and Joey on discount deals. They're playing their first round pick is the starting right tackle and one of the best in the league. Their second round pick he's the 9th receiver, 10th pass catcher taken, and he's top 3 rookie receiver right now. They've got 2 5th-round picks that are starting at outside corner and slot corner right now. Things are good. Like, things are good for this team. So don't get too bummed out by a loss to a squad that should have won the AFC Championship last year, were it not for boneheaded plays from Zay Flowers and an interception from Lamar.
Right. And money, and to that point, like fans don't get bummed and be optimistic and say, hey, look, even though we're not there, we're going to get in this playoffs and we can compete because we've shown that we can compete with the Baltimore. We took Baltimore's best shot and we were right there. Yeah, they were just a little bit better. But money, coming into season 3 weeks ago, you and I sat on this very exact show and we said, win one out of the next 2 games. And that was the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. We said, hey, this is still going to be a good test. If you can split, we said, we'll take it.
Right.
And it would take the split. And they did what I think they held serve. You got the split. Yes, it would have been great to win both of them. But you can't watch that film. And the guys in the meeting room, the next day on Tuesday or Wednesday, we watch them. You can't go in there and say, God, we got our butt kicked. We had no chance. You're looking and saying, my God, if we make one of these 4th down stops, 4th and inch, do you don't think if Denzel Perryman's there, it's like, okay, I make this, I would have shed this. This is what he did. Yeah. So if you don't think that they say, oh, and you don't think Q's like, if I make one of these, I'm gone. That, like you said, that slant right across the middle, he catches that, his speed, he's getting the first down. You don't think that Rager's saying, first quarter, we're up by 10. If I make that catch, we're at the 50-yard line. We're least in field goal range. We got the best kicker in the league. We're least in field goal range. You don't think guys are looking and saying, my goodness, you don't think J.K. Dobbins, running back, saying, okay, I know Derrick Henry. We can't compare the two. We get it. But Dobbins is saying, I am a good back in this league. And you saw the way he came out, how angry he was running, what he was out, playing with the chip on his shoulder, playing with that bravado. You can't tell me that he said, God, I could have made a difference in this game if I could have played for 4 quarters. So I don't look at this game as, man, this is a huge letdown. I just look at, man, hey, look, you played a team that has what you just alluded to, a little bit more experience, that's been in the workings for years compared to a coach that just inherited a team that just came off a 5-12 season last year.
So I can compare it because I do think there's a real potential that they'll see him again. I think it's very possible. Or, based on how this, and I think, again, I'm just going to kind of little seed of reality here. These next 2, just get the split. Would it be great to win both? Yes. But now that the potential and possibility of winning out is gone, I think also the reality of catching the Chiefs is probably they're going to have to really stumble in order to get to 4 losses now instead of just 3 with only 6 left. So I think get the split. You get to 8 wins, and then I could see them winning their remaining 4. They got home games against the Broncos and Bucks. That's at home. And then they've got away games against a 2 or 3 win Patriots team and a 2-win Raider team on their 3rd quarterback. So that would then, the way that the hierarchy of the AFC right now goes, Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Ravens. Houston. Be great to play the Texans in that first round, but I just think Baltimore is a much better team than their record suggests. Agreed. Each of those teams have already beat the Chargers, meaning you've got to have one more win than they do because they own the tiebreaker. So it's possible that whichever team wins the division, the other one ends up as the number 1 wild card, and that could set a date against the Ravens. And I bring it up because I think back to that Week 16 game at SoFi, at the soccer stadium, and they lose 22-10. Right? It's a 10-6 game. Chargers are up, and then they go on to score 16 unanswered to win that game. And everyone's talking about, they're not in the same class. It's been a weird year, a miracle year for these Chargers. They're winning all these odd games with, last second heroics, and it was just one of those magical years, right? And then what happens? I'll never forget it because DJ, who I do the games with, worked for the Ravens, and so he's got a bunch of pals. And we're up in the press box, and the press box is low at Baltimore. It's one of the best around. The booth is just right at the top of the first section at the 50-yard line. And we're walking around in the hallways, and everybody is just kind of not being too arrogant, but they're like, yeah, here you are again, DJ, gonna have to deal with this, and now you're gonna have to deal with it here. It's gonna be a tough go, but man, what a great season you guys had. Just you got the 12 wins, you tied the best record in the AFC with the Chiefs, and unfortunately, this is the hand you were dealt. It's too bad, but hey, what a great season. And then they go out and they wreck shop, and Derwin wrecks shop as a rookie, and Chenna gets that strip sack on Lamar, and they win the wild card game. And nobody gave them a chance because they had just lost 2 weeks prior, And the tournament's weird, man. Weird stuff happens. And I think a rematch is almost better when you were on the losing side than when you were on the winning side when you get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think I think you're right, especially for this Charger team, because there's so many. It would be justice. I would love to see it because of the fact I think it would be a redemption game for so many players. You watch the Chargers, you can't. I'm telling you, I've been on the end of those games where man missed a blocker, dropped the ball. I remember playing. I was in Tampa Bay, and we're playing Jacksonville Jaguars, and we're running power. And I used to play against the Saints, and I'm blocking against a guy named Joel Spingy. He's a defensive end, played outside linebacker, played with the Saints with me. And I'm giving it to him money. We're running power. We're just running power. And we're in Rhino backfield. That's Mike Allstott playing tailback. I'm playing fullback, and we're just running this power play. It's like 3rd and 3. We're up by like 3, but it's a great game against Jacksonville. It's raining that night. I tell the OC, I said, dude, go K4. That's, fullback flat where you run like you're doing power, slip in the flat. I said, keep me in the game. I'm not coming out. I want this K4. Shula calls the play. I go at Spingy. I bluff him. He goes to block me, and he thinks and I slip him wide open. Trent throws a little heater to me, and it was like slow motion. I took my eyes off the ball, money, and I looked upfield because linebacker's gone. He was in man-to-man coverage. Everyone else was put the green grass, and to this day, I see Dungy, and I remember looking at it, and I was like, even me and Coach Dungy, we talk about it. I was like, man, Coach, because we would have gotten the playoffs, and that's the year we just were getting hot. Right. It would have put us in the playoffs. We ended up losing. We needed another team to win to get us in. So I know. So I'm just saying that to say, I know what Q and a lot of these guys are feeling. Rager, and it's like, my God, if I make that catch, who knows what would have happened? So I think when you're talking about this could be a game where you see them again, it can be a huge redemption game.
Yeah, and I think the key is even beyond, or I shouldn't say beyond, even before that, to me, the key to this game is don't get beat twice. It's a physical game. It's, the Steelers, the Ravens, you play these teams, you get out of there, and it's a heavyweight fight. Maybe the others are middleweights or welterweights. These are heavyweight fights, and you can't afford to get beat twice. You mentioned Dobbins. He was running for nearly 7 yards a clip, 6 for 40. And he goes out, and they just didn't have the juice to replace him. They had Hassan Haskins, who's a core 4 special teams guy, and your super short yardage back. And that's it. And Gus, who's still working his way back from an injury, is not a threat out of the backfield. And it changed everything. It just changed. And so now you go into Atlanta, you can activate Kamani Vidal. He's a much more electric, explosive scat sort of, not scat back because he's got so much power, but he's someone that's got a little wiggle to him, Yeah, he's physical, but he's got some wiggle. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. You can get that going. Maybe activate Jared Patterson, and now he's in there. He's another guy that's got NFL experience and has started a handful of games and knows what it's like. And so I think that's and Khalil had said it. He was pissed that he was on a snap count, and so maybe that's good. He was on a snap count, so now he's fresh, and now he's going to be able to be out there for Bijan Robinson and what Kirk Cousins is able to do, spreading that ball around to Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Darnell Mooney and all those weapons they have, and that experienced offensive line that's got a million first-rounders and Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry and Jake Matthews. I mean, they've invested on that front. Right. Their defense has been really bad. As for 10 years, it's been bad. They have no pass rush. This is a team that's got 10 sacks on the season as a team. Right. The opposing quarterback is completing 71% of their passes against this team. So, if the defense was able to get healthy, Cam twists that ankle on Saturday, can't play Sunday, so he's rested. He's not taking on 15 freaking rushes from Derrick Henry. You get him back out there for Bijan. And I think that's the key. Don't let the Ravens beat you twice.
Right. And I totally agree with you. You got to shop Robinson because he's a good little running back. The guy can run physical. And they're going to look at that Baltimore tape and say, look, here's what Derrick Henry did. And they're going to be saying, look, let's stop. We've shown now that this is a remedy. This is how you beat him. This is how you solve the Rubik's Cube. You have to run the ball and you have to be physical. So Atlanta's going to come out and they're going to try to be physical. And they're going to try to keep Kirk Cousins upright because Kirk Cousins has been taking a beating. He's been, and even that offensive line is good. He's statuesque in the pocket, and you watch this guy getting hit, and at times he's trying to hold on to the ball and trying to wait for receivers to come. And the line which they got a good offensive line, hasn't held up at times for Kirk Cousins, and he doesn't move well in the pocket. He's not a guy that really is going to hurt you with his legs. So if you can shut down that run, like you said, and make them one-dimensional, and now Cleo and the guys are back, you can get after this team. That's what it's going to be about. And Atlanta is not playing good defense. You saw it there. Their defense is giving up big plays. You're going to have some opportunities. You can't let this be a back-to-back. Don't let the Ravens have that hangover. You got to get through this game and find a way to win and beat Atlanta team that's desperate. Atlanta team that hasn't played well. Atlanta team that they're going to try to, get it going, and it's going to get it going against you as the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta, they now, with the return of Mike Evans and with Baker coming off that big win, they got to think about, even though they swept Tampa, so they do have the tiebreaker, it's a team that's lost 2 in a row. And they basically put Bo Nix into the Rookie of the Year conversation. The guy threw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, they absolutely got smoked by the Broncos. The Chargers get dealt a crappy hand from the schedule makers. They play the very last game of Week 12, and they're going to play an early game, 10 a.m. Pacific on Week 13 against a team that's coming off a bye. So it's not ideal. The one thing about this coaching staff is they will not allow that to be a distraction. Kirk Cousins, you mentioned it, 23 sacks he's taken, 5 fumbles this year. Go get it, man. Who's better at forcing fumbles in the league, strip sack-wise, than Joey Bosa? Nobody. We know how good Tuli is at it. We know how good Khalil Mack is at it. Nobody's had more strip sacks than Khalil Mack since he entered in the league. So, that's gettable. You're absolutely right, Lo. Even though they've invested, some of those guys getting long in the tooth, other guys not quite as good as advertised, and it's gettable, especially because, like you said, Kirk is not that mobile. The one thing that I think, they got to be careful is what I already said. Hopefully they're healthy enough. They're not beat to hell with a short week, traveling across country, playing an early one. Right. And hopefully DP can come back. Hopefully Cam Hart can come back. And I think the one other thing I'm interested in, because we just know how good Justin is at it, is DJ Chark has been inactive. That he's been scratched in every game save one where he went out for 1 rep and blocked on a running play. I don't know what it looks like in practice. I don't know why he's, that's what I'm assuming it has to be. But Justin needs a guy that can win 50-50 balls. That's, that the Q is just, I know he's big and he's physical, but that's just not what he does. He doesn't get his hands up. He doesn't track it well. And that's that first drop he had on the right sideline that just kind of came through his hands and bonked off his chest, and they would have had a 1st and goal from the 1-yard line. But and Josh Palmer's just not quite that guy either. He's more of a Keenan Allen tactician, good route runner, get you some yak. So, and Ladd is Ladd, Ladd's fantastic. He's phenomenal, but that's not what he's going to do. So I'm anxious to see if maybe this is a game where if DJ Chark can have a good week of practice, and I don't know why my computer, for whatever reason, is not.
Look it up. But
doing me any favors right now. I'm trying to make sure I got. Yeah, here we go. His measurables: 6'3", 205 pounds. And he's a guy that can win. He's a legitimate X. So I'm anxious to see if he gets his first reps with all the drops, with the 50-50 balls that were thrown out there, and just never had a chance for Herbert. If in fact, maybe this is a DJ Chark game.
Yeah, and you need to spice up that receiver room. You got to go ahead and make something that's going to shock guys and make guys say, okay, look, that comfortability. Guys getting a little comfortable maybe. Hey, bring this guy in and let him go up for those 50-50 balls. Sit one of these guys down and see what it's going to do. I think that would be a great because Justin will go to him. If you're open, Justin is going to find a way to get you the ball because that's just how he is. And he's been doing a great job of just pulling the ball down and not taking sacks and saying, okay, I'm going to get back to the line of scrimmage. I'm just going to get 2 yards, 3 yards. I'm going to get down. I think he's done a phenomenal job now understanding, look, I don't want to hurt my team. Don't want us to get in bad position. I'm going to take off, but I'm going to be smart when I take off and hurry up and get down. So I think he's done a great job protecting the football, but also getting what he can get to get down.
Yeah. Look, he's having an MVP season. That's just the reality. Rush for the touchdown. He's using his legs a lot more. Yeah. Like I said, he got it's unfortunate because I think about the 2 Monday night games, right? He's played twice on Monday night now, And against Arizona, they should have got the win. Jalen Reagor has the fumble. He's got 7 drops from his receivers in that game. And then you go into this one, and I can think of 5 off the top of my head. 2 of them on third down, one of them that should have been a first and goal from the 1. And it's, your receivers got to help you out, man. You got to help the guy out. He throws too good of a ball. He puts it in too good of a position for you guys for the receivers to be dropping balls. And I think that's going to be a key. They've got to, they've got to just kind of clean that up, and they'll be fine. And they'll get out with a victory. I have full faith in the defense. I know they gave up 30 points for the first time. They gave up over 7 points in the first half for the first time this year. But at the same time, I still thought they played well considering the circumstances. They forced all these 4th downs, and they just did not have the physicality to match up with the most physical back in the league and one of the toughest offenses to defend when you have Lamar that can pull it and run with all that speed, or Henry that can keep it and hammer you and just fall forward for 3 yards. So I have no concerns on that front.
Well, I'm with you. I can't wait to this next week for us to be able to talk about it. They're going to Atlanta. I think they can get it down. I know Jesse Minter is going to have that defense humming. They had a little letdown, so I know they're going to come out with some vengeance and try to get back, because, this was one of the elite defenses in the league, and it probably slipped a little bit in their mind. So when you have that, you usually have a great deal of resolve to get a lot better. So looking forward to seeing what they're going to do against Atlanta. Yeah,
you and me both, Lo. Bounce back, like we said, get the split at least. Try to win the both of them, but at the same time, don't let the Ravens beat you twice. That's the key.
Absolutely. Hey, Matt, well, happy Thanksgiving to you. Go eat a lot of that turkey, brother. You be safe travels, and man, we'll talk again next week. Cheers to you and your family.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you, Lo. Thankful for you. Thankful for Lindsay, for the show, for all the people that listen and support us. Means a lot to us. I hope all of you have a great Thanksgiving. And I'm hoping that when I return, we'll be talking about a big Charger victory. That's the big hope.
Bolt up.
Bolt up.